Hello and welcome to another edition of the Dugout. I'm joined by my esteemed colleagues HARSHIT, Shashwat Bhalla, and we are just a couple of nights sleep away from the all-important India's tour of England, and HARSHIT just was able to protect his mic from falling down.
Yeah.
That's, I think, a great start to the Dugout that we have had.
It would have been a mic drop moment of nothing. Because this is barely anything that we've said so far.
Not good enough to impress both Root and Kohli.
Absolutely. We saw it was in... it was the Ashes when we saw that bad drop from... that mic drop moment from Root, right?
That was in 2018 also, India's tour of England. So Root had this mic drop moment when England won the ODI series, and Kohli did the same when he ran him out in the first test.
Yeah, Kohli was also trying to remember how Root's bat was absolutely still, and then Kohli tried doing the same, trying to erect his bat on the ground, but that didn't happen at that time. Fond memories of these two sides coming together. We've always had something or the other to cheer. It's interesting that it starts though at a venue where you don't usually see the two teams collide first up. We've seen that in the past, that it's usually the third test match that's usually played in Leeds, but it's going to be the first one this time. And more teams, I believe, are trying to just shake up the whole roster and get things their way. It worked in favor of Australia. Let's see how it is.
Yeah, is it really got to do with the fact that you gain some kind of psychological advantage? So let's say if you start the series at a ground wherein the opposition or the the travelling team has a better record, then you
India's
probably lose that
twice.
Psychological advantage. No, I'm saying that Australia did the same.
Australia did the same and it worked out.
Yeah.
It worked out. Though for Australia, it didn't work out initially, but overall, whatever that they wanted, and Brisbane, remember, was kept at the fag end in the 2020-21 series, and then it was moved up to the third test match this time around. So whatever rejigging that Australia had to do, eventually it worked out for them. England have perhaps taken a leaf out of Australia's book and hope to replicate the same over here, but let's see. Will it be the same start to the series that it was for India in the Border Gavaskar Trophy, where it started from the exact venue that Australia wanted it to, but then the result went in India's favour, and the result went in India's favour. Shashwat's hair also went with that, but we saw a Virat Kohli century eventually, and India, the last one, it's the same photograph he used in his Instagram post.
But the hair are back, but will that be the case with India's form?
Any bets, Shashwat, this time around? Why? Because no Virat.
Stop putting bets. Any kind of bets, any sort of bets on anything.
You had to buy a pair of shoes. What about that? Have you bought yet?
No, not yet. Let the
man
is not here now.
And now you are vanishing.
No. Before that, it will be done.
Before that,
Yeah,
it has to happen here, right? Remember?
I'll leave it here and go for him.
So you got 48 hours, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Huh? You remember,
already
right?
purchased it?
No, I haven't, but yeah.
But then what? Express delivery.
It will happen.
Delivery usually takes more days. Yeah.
It will. No.
What, you're going to blink it?
Plan wasn't to get it delivered anyways. It was to go and buy it from the store.
Oh,
Yeah,
so close by you'll go.
Yeah.
We have to have a proper ceremony here.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll have it.
But tomorrow that man is not here, na? But recipient of the shoes.
The ceremony when both of us are together here. But the ceremony anyways, he
Beating
left
around
even
the
before
bush,
the
yeah.
IPL ended. That man was.
And you were everyone knew you were losing the bet. You still did not buy the shoes then.
Because officially it was till the end of the tournament.
Officially it was after the group stage end.
Yeah. It'll happen. I thought everybody has forgotten about it.
Why will anyone
It will
forget?
never happen.
You give us these golden nuggets from time to time. First have some random bet upstairs, you lose your hair, then whatever, shoes and all. Anyway, we're here to discuss the India-England test series, but plenty happening, I believe, besides just the India-England series. Gulati, you have something?
Yeah, I think I came across this interesting comment by AB de Villiers, and it's also a story that's out on Sports Today. You can check it out. He says that in order to have some kind of fair competition, let's say for South Africa to play all the oppositions this time around, or maybe in any of the future WTC cycles, it's better to have a 4-year WTC cycle. Take inspiration from the ODI World Cup. So let's say when you head to a ODI World Cup after 4 years, you have pretty much faced almost all the oppositions in those 4 years. So that way, there is no thing regarding your participation or your performance in the tournament that maybe India did not really face these kind of teams earlier. Maybe that wasn't the case, but in WTC we have seen this time and again now, first with New Zealand, now with South Africa, that when New Zealand won, they did not really face the likes of India, Australia pretty consistently. Same is the case with South Africa. They managed to draw the series against India 1-1, but then they did not really have any major series against England and South Africa and Australia. So that's where ABD, I think, has an interesting comment, and I kind of agree with it. You can also share your thoughts here. I think a 4-year WTC cycle, it does make sense.
I think notionally it makes sense, practically maybe not. I don't think you have the kind of patience now for a WTC cycle to last that long, and let's face it, the format has its own challenges. Financial challenges are just one of the many challenges. You're also looking at ensuring that the appeal of the format stays, that it's still as lucrative as it was traditionally. For the younger generation, we know that they're moving away from the purest format of the game. None of that's happening now. If you're fighting for something that's 4 years away in all of this, I doubt if there's going to be that marketability to the whole setup. But I like it. I like the suggestion, but I think it may not be workable.
Nothing really changed with it. I think it just remains the same. You're just adding 2 more years. It does not really make any sense. It does not change anything.
Yeah, that's one thing. Anything else? I think we've had from India versus England series.
Graham Swan, in fact, is really trending on social media because he called the India versus England series a warm-up for the Ashes. Lots of people have been really lashing out at him, and he was trending in the morning, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, that is something that's trending on social media.
Why is he trending per se for it?
Because
I don't
Indian fans haven't really liked it.
But what's the harm in saying that? I don't see anything wrong.
Yeah, and the way he said it, that also doesn't really, he did not mean it in that way. He meant that what he meant was that this is going to be a good preparation.
Of course,
for the Ashes
this is a home series for them. They will have to go away to Australia, play 5 matches there in conditions which are going to be alien to them. So I don't see much wrong with that comment.
Why people are calling it out more so is the reason for that is that he used the word warm-up series. In that sense, you tend to have a warm-up series against weaker oppositions or weaker conditions in that sense. That's why people are really lashing out on him, but he did not say it that way. I'll hurt the whole clip once again, and we've done a story on that as well. But he really, I don't think that he meant it in that way. What he meant was that it's a preparation for the Ashes in that sense.
Yeah, that though any series is a preparation, but Ashes and England cricket team, I think that's an obsession that we have seen over the years or so a lot, that you may or may not win the World Cup, but you still would want to win the Ashes. Now that's one thing that has been consistent with this England cricket team, and guess what, they haven't really been able to win the Ashes since 2015.
Yeah, in a long time now. Achha, I thought Shivam was a message for us.
Anything else?
That's all about. As far as the India versus England, Harshit Rana yesterday, I think we did break that on Sports.
Why do you need a sixth pace bowler?
And no, and he's been just a clarity on that as well. He's just been added for the first test match.
Yeah,
that is what the BCCI.
Is it then some sort of an indication that Bumrah might not play?
That too, I'm still not sure if he's been added to the squad. It's been clearly mentioned that he's a backup to the squad.
Let's read out exactly what is it.
I read that out, and that is what it said. I'm just going by the words what it said.
Yeah.
It wasn't mentioned if he's added in the squad or not. It was clearly mentioned that this is for just the first test match, and it is, in a sense, he is a cover. So I don't think that he's been added to the squad personally.
Overall,
Okay, so
for the
the
5 matches.
subject line of that
Yeah.
email says Harshit Rana links up with the Indian team. It goes ahead and reads that the men's senior committee has added Harshit Rana to the squad for the first test in Leeds. Rana was a part of the India A squad that linked up with the team as India began preparations for the first test. 5-match series kicks off in Headingley, and then it just carries.
Are there
the names of
injury
all the
concerns?
players.
That's the point, I have here, because see, Bumrah has pretty much confirmed that the first test, for him is pretty much on the cards. He is all set to play that. But are we really having some injury concerns? Because to have Harshit Rana, see, if he is a part of the squad now for the first test, then I think I have all reasons to believe that you are probably having him in your playing 11. Because see, to have him in the squad,
No, maybe there's an injury concern, and then
no,
you need.
is there only one injury concern? That's the point. I think there are multiple then.
It could be a possibility that he's added as of now for just the first test match, and as we move ahead, he's added for more test matches. Even that is possible. We've seen that in the past. So yeah.
No, that's a point, but which brings me to the point that either you are not maybe happy with the fitness of a couple of fast bowlers, or maybe you are not happy with the rhythm that they are showing in the net session. His selection has to mean something, and that's where I think the BCCI once again is lacking clarity, that when you already have as many as 4 to 5 fast bowlers in your ranks, what's the need of having a 6th one? Because any which ways you have a lot of batting depth, you have a lot of bowling depth also, spin department is still pretty much strong. Why do you need Harshit Rana? It's great that he's a part of the squad here. It's congratulations to him, but then I just get this feeling that if he's a part now, I think he's going to be a member of the playing 11. There's no reason to keep him out then. Maybe you're looking at him on
Maybe there are injury concerns over Prasidh Krishna, because only there I see a like-for-like replacement.
but he did
If
well.
anybody else would have been injured, then you could have gotten an Anshul Kamboj also. He did well.
I don't see how he plays ahead of a Prasidh or a Siraj for that matter. Arshdeep I can still understand because he's got more test experience than him, but otherwise I don't see how he plays ahead of them. Again, it has to be some sort of an injury concern only that rules them out. But interesting you mentioned about Bumrah perhaps not being there. I came across a report, again we've not done a story on that because these are unconfirmed reports, but there are certain reports suggesting that maybe Jasprit Bumrah doesn't play the first match. I don't buy that report at all for the simple reason workload is the thing. He finished the IPL absolutely fine, he's had a decent break, and you're looking at using him optimally. In fact, I'd like to believe that there is a chance that he plays the first and the second one. Remember, you were saying 1, 3, 5 could be the test matches, but 1 and 2 there's a decent gap between those 2 test matches as well. So I'd like to believe that there is in fact a chance that he plays the first 2, but no way does he not start the series for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Even I feel that he starts for me, and I think if we go by what even Ravi Shastri has predicted, as far as India's playing 11 is concerned, he does have Bumrah.
If Leeds does turn out to the way it is expected to turn out, flat and hot and dry conditions, then I think you'll need Jasprit Bumrah. All the more reason to have a Jasprit Bumrah, because on flat conditions then you'll need his services, because where there is help, all the other bowlers can sort of extract that something or the other, but when conditions are flat you'll need him.
Anyway, I think let's switch to our main topic, which is, I would say, in a way, a proper discussion, a preview-based discussion on what to really expect from the India-England series here. Are they really the hot favourites for this 5-match series, or at some point you feel India can really pose a threat to them? I think maybe let's just start and break it down as far as the squads of both the teams are concerned. We can probably start with the batting lineups of both the teams here, starting with India. And if you've had retirements of both Rohit and Kohli, one of the things that probably prompted their retirement was the poor batting form that they showed, not just in the BGT, but prior to that, even Kohli, he had a massive lean run as far as his test form is concerned. From 2019 until 2024, there was just I think 1 year in between 2023 when he showed some kind of form, but apart from that, nothing to show. You talk about the Indian squad here, the return of Karun Nair is there, obviously Abhimanyu Ishwaran continues to be a part of the squad. Whether he's going to get a game or not, that remains to be seen. Sai Sudarshan has been rewarded for his IPL heroics and what he did for Surrey in county cricket last year. So overall, if you take a look at India's batting, there are going to be a couple of changes. Obviously, 2 spots up for grabs. More than likely, KL Rahul replaces Rohit Sharma at the top of the order. Discussion could really be, who bats at number 4. It could be Shubman Gill, could be Karun Nair, could be Sai Sudarshan, anyone for that matter. No hints by Team India. But looking at the maybe a SWOT, analysis of this Indian batting, do you really think that, they, despite lacking this experience and knowing that the conditions in England have completely changed in the last few years, they have more flat and fast wickets. Do you think that this Indian team, this Indian batting can pose a challenge to England here?
Well, I'd like to believe that this change in conditions that we've seen in England over the last few years definitely eases things for this Indian team. It's not the England of 21-22 that you saw, which stayed true to its reputation. And we've seen now how there are bigger totals being scored, that the conditions have flattened out. It suits the home team. And in that, I think, lies a bit of an opportunity for India as well. We've done a story and it'll be out very soon on how you're looking at the surface for the first test match at Headingley also be relatively flat. Lords, as we saw in the test match right now as well, if you apply yourselves, give yourself a chance to bat at day 3, day 4, if you're able to weather out the first couple of days, then there are runs to be scored. So over the last few years, ever since Brendan McCullum's taken over, you've seen there be not a problem as far as run scoring is concerned, and that's where I think the competition sort of the line between the two teams gets a little thinner for me. Had it been conditions of the past, maybe that line would have been broader, it would have been thicker. But right now, I think it's slimmer than it could have been. And the other thing is, I see, while you mentioned some names of the Indian batters over there, when you look at the opposition, it's while it's not the strongest Indian team as we all know, the English side also isn't extremely strong at the moment. They're also not sure if there's going to be a Wood and an Archer at the start of the series, and Ollie Robinson has been recalled after a while. There's going to be again, as I said, there's no surety about Mark Wood as well. There is no Anderson now, there is no Broad now, as we know.
I think you talked about Jamie Overton, not Ollie Robinson.
Jamie Overton.
Yeah.
Beg your pardon. And yeah, when you look at that, there's Josh Tongue, there is Shoaib Bashir, Bryden Cars is there. Chris Wokes has been the man in form for them. But if you look at the players that they've mentioned or named for the first test match, that bowling department doesn't sort of instill fear in me. You add a Wood and an Archer over there, the complexion completely changes. But otherwise, right now, I feel India do go in with a bit of a chance.
India definitely, I think the conditions, the reason why there are flatter conditions over there is because the England batters also suit to that. So that is a very big reason. So Indian bowling, I feel, definitely have that in them, that they can get rid of this batting lineup of the England team. But I think India definitely does have a very good chance in that sense, because if batting conditions are easier, a lot of batters in this lineup do give me confidence of getting runs. I know that we have been a little skeptical about Jasprit in England, but if conditions are truly flattened, but I personally don't think that conditions are going to be flat. I think the ball is definitely going to do a lot. But if it doesn't, then I think batters like Yashasvi Jaiswal, even Shubman Gill for that matter, have a very good chance to make this tour a very big tour for themselves. But even if conditions are a little trickier, then I think the Indian batters will be tested. Then it would be chances of with them winning the series will get really, really tough. But as far as conditions are concerned, if they are flat, I think the Indian batters will have a lot more advantage, and I think that is why the English team does not want conditions to be flat. They want to take that gamble and give the most difficult batting conditions, because if I'm not wrong, they also have left a lot of grass on the Headingley wicket. They've also sort of covered it to leave the moisture
See those
out.
conditions, I don't see those conditions being there in the first test match.
But that's also because it is very hot. I don't think ideally they would have wanted the conditions to be such. That is why they're trying to keep the wicket as moist as possible. So I think
there isn't any moisture there, Shashwat.
But
the region's not received any rainfall in the last few months. It's expected to be dry. Temperatures expected to soar to about 30 odd degrees. It's about 20 to 23 right now. It's expected to get hotter, and right now the grass cover that you're talking about will be reduced to the standard 8 mm, as is the case. And right now the grass cover is there just to protect the little bit of moisture that may be around, and that's to do with the regular watering of the pitch that happens. So there hasn't been additional moisture for the entire region, in fact. So in terms of the pitch, it is expected to stay dry. It is expected to only flatten out. In fact, the curator over there says that expect your bowlers to get something out of this wicket only on the first day, because after that it's going to be domination for the batters.
But if as soon as there is cloud cover, then I think it just gets a little tougher for the Indian team. And I think they still, if I'm not wrong, kept the wicket covered so that
the wickets definitely.
There can be a little sweat and there can be something for the batter. So they would definitely want there to be a lot of help for the fast bowlers, because that's their only chance to actually dominate the Indian batters. Because if the conditions are flat, then it will come down to who bowls better, and in that sense, the Indian bowlers are much better.
I think let's just go back to the point that Shashwat mentioned, that England would want to give the toughest of the batting conditions to India. Don't you think that it can actually backfire? Because if we talk about England's bowling attack, let's say there's a comparison between England and India here. I think India's bowling attack, despite whatever limited experience that they have of Siraj, Bumrah, and I think 3 or 4 matches of Shardul Thakur, I think this Indian team's bowling attack has more potency in comparison to the England attack. So basically it can backfire also, because the likes of Bumrah, Siraj, you just provide them a bit of conditions.
It can backfire, trouble gamble. But as soon as you give them good conditions to bat on, then the chances of India getting runs is also very high.
Yes.
So as soon as you give them tough conditions, then you know that you can stop the Indian batters, not let them score too many runs, and then have a best chance in that sense. Because as soon as you give them flat conditions, then India also has the capability to score 300, 400 runs in one innings. But as soon as you give them the Indian team tough conditions, see, that is what they are preparing for. The Indian team, that is what we are skeptical about. So that's a gamble that I think the English team will be ready to take.
However, just going by previous results and the way Bazball's played, I have a different take. I have a feeling that at least at the start of the series, remember India also had different plans when England had come over, and starting the third test match, then you saw conditions change here in India as well. After the first 2 matches, I think first was Hyderabad, the second was Vizag, if I'm not wrong. If I'm not wrong, and you certainly saw then conditions change as the series
sporting wickets. Yeah,
exactly, and that's. I don't know if that'll be the case here, but I feel they're going to be leaving some room for that thought to prevail as well, because I think England are going to go into the series with the intention of trying to bat out India. We saw last time around, the intention was very clear in the Ashes as well, where the first ball was hit for a boundary, and I think they're going to be having that gung-ho approach even in this series. So the idea will be, at least at the start,
if that would have been the scene, they would not have changed much with their schedule. They've changed it where Leeds, Birmingham is where you get more help as compared to London. So that just gives me a signal that they that's not their plan. Their plan is to bowl out India and trouble them with the new ball. They know that this is an inexperienced batting lineup, and as soon as you get rid of the Indian batting, it'll automatically
that's fine. It's fine in theory, but again, the proof that we're seeing right now doesn't indicate anything like that.
No. But again, that's because of the weather that is there. It's not.
No, it is because of the wicket that's been prepared.
It's all the wicket the wicket looks dry because it's getting hot over there. Otherwise, I think it would have been a very good wicket.
The curator over there, as per my limited understanding, has been directed to ensure that that pitch remains flat, that there is true bounce, that it's a good surface with good carry for the bowlers. But all of that and hitting through the line. Something that he said is England want conditions in which they can hit through the line. Now, if I add all of that up, to me, it signals the fact that you're looking at the home team trying to bat out the opposition. So and I'm going by just what I've heard from him. So keeping that in mind, I think the idea, yes, it's a theory, it's an approach that can backfire as well, because this Indian side needs exactly these conditions as well. Remember what happened in Perth as well.
Why would they change? Why would they want to change their venues then in that sense? Because then, if that would have been the case, I'm assuming then the best thing should have been they start in London and these places where it's already hot, and that just
but
gives
Leeds
you a better
used to be the
chance.
third match. And that would be, as we've seen, now India's only won twice and have drawn once at Leeds. So traditionally what we've seen is you would go to this venue and then this would be especially that venue where England would fancy themselves to win on most days, regardless of the opposition. That's the kind of record that England have had in Leeds. So perhaps they're starting with it for all the more reason that they want that first win to come there right up top.
And that's, that in a way is advantageous for any home team, or even, any opponent also who is traveling to one of the overseas nations. You would want to start well so that, it gives you the momentum. At Leeds, historically India haven't really done well. The last, I think, 23 odd years or so, India are going to play their third test match now.
Yeah.
Overall, India's record is not that impressive. So better to, start at a venue wherein you would have some kind of psychological advantage. Similar to the point that I had, at the beginning of the discussion, that Australia also did the same when they had the test at Perth, although it backfired, but overall the result of the series did go in Australia's favor. So I think that's one point. Overall, I think let's just switch to the batting of maybe England, for that matter. You've had those incumbent openers, Ben Duckett, Zach Crawley. When it's those flat and fast conditions, they have literally adapted to the Bazball style approach, but you give them some kind of green conditions and the run scoring becomes difficult. Same goes with Ollie Pope, who is not a sure shot starter now in this 11. He's going to be fighting for a place with Jacob Bethel here. Harry Brook, he looks to be a sure shot starter. There's Ben Stokes now. Whether he's going to bowl or not, that remains to be seen. But overall, you look at their batting, once again, it's going to rely largely on Joe Root here.
See, that's there, and I was looking at the fact that I think now he has more centuries than the entire Indian team put together. Now that there's no Virat, he's got more centuries. And see, every time India are playing England, whether be it at home, be it away, the man knows how to score runs against India. He's punished India in India, and in England also he's been the man in form for the home team. So yeah, but Gulati, I think the moment that you get flatter conditions, we've seen other batters. Look at Harry Brook, his records not that bad either in home conditions. And Zach Crawley
on Pakistan roads, he scored a double-handed.
By the way, yes, he got a 234, and I think in this WTC cycle that just ended, his score was the highest in this whole cycle. So yeah, I think with there's a thread that goes through all of these guys, and you look at Crawley, Duckett, and Harry Brook for that matter. All of these guys, their approach is the same. The patient game isn't there in their books, and that's the common thread that puts them together. So I think for a large part in this series, unless England begin to regret it at some point and the Indian batters are then showing greater form than the home team, I think the idea will be to go out there and score as many runs as possible.
Yeah.
So and Joe Root is again going to be the fulcrum of this batting. There's no two ways about it.
Absolutely. What do you think about England's batting?
I would see again, it's as soon as they give flat conditions, I think they will fancy the chances. They'll want to bat out the Indian team. But is that possible with a bowling lineup that like India's, which is really experience in that sense? You have Prasidh Krishna, Mohammad Siraj, and you also have
The experience is, by the way,
Bumrah,
just 19 matches including a Bumrah.
But then you include
19, yes.
No, in England, right?
In England.
I'm saying overall experience in totality. I'm talking about Mohammad Siraj, Jasprit, Bumrah. As compared to the English bowlers, at least the Indian bowlers have a reputation in that, since they're at least proper fast bowlers who are known worldwide. So in that sense, the Indian fast bowlers will have a much better chance as compared to England on flat conditions. So again, the England batters will really have to. Then you're expecting them to bat 400, 500 runs in their first innings if they're batting.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be down to the conditions, because with England, one thing that we have seen over the last 4 years, ever since McCullum has taken over as the coach, you give them favorable conditions and it's going to be almost impossible to defeat them. But where conditions are going to be
favorable conditions in India.
I don't think so they had, because the point is the pitches did, favor India. And on those pitches, you did need to play some kind of intelligent cricket to score those runs or get those wickets, something that the likes of Ashwin, Jadeja did. There was Kuldeep Yadav, and then the batters, specifically Gill, who scored the most number of runs as far as the second innings, of the test matches are concerned. I think when it comes to playing some intelligent cricket, that's where Bazball lacks. That's why they haven't won in India. That's why they haven't won in Australia. In Australia, it's going to be his first major assignment of Brendan McCullum as far as the overseas Ashes is concerned. They also could not win the Ashes at home when they, allowed Australia to retain it way back in 2023. So I think with England, there are a lot of flaws. You talk about India. Even if in their batting they are depleted, in bowling when Bumrah is not going to be there, then you can still say you would have some doubts as to who could be the spearhead of the attack. For England also, I think they have their own problems. Ollie Pope, one of their senior batters, is not sure of a place in the 11. Bowling lacks a lot of spark. No Archer, no Wood, no Atkinson. I think it could be an exciting contest, but the only point that remains to be seen, that we always talk about the conditions, we talk about the pitch. You get those flat and fast wickets, and it's probably going to be down to who bats better or who gets those more runs. But if the conditions are more green, it's going to be more assistance for the bowlers. I think that's where India, I would probably go on to say that India are head and shoulders ahead of England.
If the conditions are green.
Yeah, I would say that, and it's primarily down to India's bowling.
No, but India will have to bat as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But if there's one thing,
do you expect to score runs as soon as conditions are
the point
hard
that I'm making here is that why I feel India could be head and shoulders ahead of England if the conditions are pretty, let's say, wet or green there. There's going to be assistance for bowlers. One, Bumrah and Siraj can make the most of these conditions better than someone like a Josh Tongue, Bryden Cast, and all the other bowlers that England have in their ranks, except from Chris Woakes, who is obviously going to be the spearhead of their attack. But if India can counter him, then I think India can probably say this thing, that half the job is almost done.
But who will score those runs?
And that's the point that I'm getting to. I don't think India have to get those plethora of runs. It's going to be about getting about 300 odd runs, and I think this team can probably do it. And why I feel this batting lineup would really be able to achieve that sort of a target if they have to. Let's say you're batting first, it's tough conditions, you get to about 270, 280 out of 300. I think that could be pretty much okay, because one thing with this batting lineup is they don't have any excess baggage. We talk about Rohit and Kohli. More often than not, they found it difficult to score in England conditions. Rohit had only a good toe in 2021. Virat Kohli was at his very best in 2018. But apart from, whatever time that they played in England, they did not really get those runs.
But even when Virat Kohli was having the best time of his years, 2018, at that time also India was struggling to get 250. Leave alone 300. Now with this batting lineup, as soon as conditions get so challenging, when we know half of the batters cannot play as soon as the ball starts to swing, then I personally feel that as soon as conditions get tougher to bat on, England would definitely have the edge. Because that's the only time. Because see, as soon as conditions get tough, all bowlers will start to get help.
Yeah.
Be it the English bowlers or the Indian bowlers.
But as who would you keep ahead? It's whether it's going to be the Indian bowlers or England ahead, bowlers.
But when it comes as soon as conditions get greener, it's about who bats better and who has a better batting lineup. It's England. As soon as conditions get flat, it comes down to who bowls better, and that is where India will have the edge.
I think that's where I differ, because what I feel is that even this England batting, I don't think they can play intelligent cricket. You give them, those tricky conditions, and you will struggle. Case in point, Pakistan, the most recent series that you had, England's, away tour. You won the first test, scored about 800 odd runs on a road that you had. Then you had Sajid Khan and Nauman Ali, I think, in the second and third test. On those rank turners, they did not even know how to bat, and it was the Pakistan team who did, apply themselves and got those useful runs. That's where I feel that this Indian batting can still apply themselves slightly better than England.
The only point over here is that I'm telling you, and even when Virat Kohli was at his peak, you struggled to get to 300 runs. 250 is what you used to get. And Virat had how many hundreds on that tour? Two hundreds on that.
And multiple 50s.
So now at this point of time, who will score those runs? Because Shubman Gill, I personally am not too confident as soon as if the ball is swinging, then I am not too confident. Yashasvi Jaiswal, we have talked about this earlier as well. I don't think that this is going to be a series that he'll want to remember as soon as at the end of the 5 test matches, because I think Australia, I think, I said it even before that series started, that was going to be a series where he had to stand out because the conditions absolutely were tailor-made for Yashasvi Jaiswal. But in England, that's not going to be the case. So if the conditions are tough, I think that's the only chance England would really have. And I think that's exactly what they'll also want to do. And if they're not doing that, I think they'll realize that sooner or later that that's the way to go about it.
Okay. Well, before we dive into the questions, are England really the question that we ask in a title? Are they really the firm favourites here?
I don't think so. I think, you give, as I said, the answer what I'm giving is more of, condition specific. You give them flat and fast wickets, and I would still say, England can probably get the job done. You give them tough conditions, and that's where I would put India ahead of England. Because of the application-based cricket, which I feel India can do better than England.
I think flat conditions, again, you're giving India a little bit of a chance. If you go for flat conditions, while trying to aid your own batters, you're also aiding the opposition. And on a given day, I think bowling department to bowling department, I don't think India pale that much in comparison. So I actually think this is going to be an evenly contested series. I don't have a prediction in mind in terms of the eventual scoreline, but I don't think it's going to be as one-sided as one could think of.
Okay, let's take a few comments now. Priyanshu is saying it's 50-50 for him, pretty much, as to what you have also said, Harshit, because India's batting and England's bowling both look inexperienced. Maybe a 2-2 type result. No Wood, Archer, Broad, Anderson. Weakest England bowling in a while. And maybe, obviously it is a weak England bowling attack. But if there's one thing that India would also have to take care of, it's to not have more bits and pieces players in their 11. The thing that you were guilty of doing it in the Border Gavaskar Trophy. That's one thing I think India would need to change. Virat has a comment that, mark my words, Shardul Thakur will be the game changer. Let's go down, Shivam.
Chili Paneer agrees with that.
Yeah. And Virat is also saying that India will win the series 2-1. Okay, Virat. That's where we'll say. Priyanshu has a prediction that Bumrah will play first, second and the fourth test matches here. And any other comments? Yeah, that's what even Bumrah has also said in his interview with Dinesh Karthik, that he's all but a lock for the first test, but we know with this Indian team things can really change. So any which ways, as far as clarity is concerned, you don't really have much information as to what could really happen. Gone are those times when India did release their playing 11 or playing 12 before a test match in an overseas series. That does not really happen.
Yeah. Ashish Shandilya has a question, says, why is Harshit preferred over Anshul Kamboj? Just makes no sense at all. I think we have a similar view here in the room as well, because Anshul Kamboj was showing good signs in the IPL and in the A games that he played. He was making more of the conditions over there. Made sense to have Harshit in Australia conditions. He's more hit the tag kinds, but here again it's inexplicable at the moment and we haven't heard from the team yet. Freaking Awesome also has a comment. He says, I think India have a good chance at Lord's and Kennington Oval. he also says that if India will win a test either in Birmingham or in Manchester for the first time, then we'll have a great chance of winning the series.
Because any which ways,
Could
India
be.
have struggled to get going in Manchester.
Absolutely.
You know, previously.
Regardless of the format.
Yeah. We didn't have to, go there. Sayyid Nizamuddin is saying Karun Nair must play. Yeah, he looks pretty much set to play the first test. Position could be different, could be number 3, could be 4, could be 6 for that matter. We aren't really sure about it. Another question by Ashish Chandelier, that can we see Washington at 3 and playing Shardul and Reddy both with the Nair at 6 and not playing Jadeja? Is there really merit in dropping Jadeja?
No,
I don't
not
think
in
so.
Test cricket.
Yeah, Jadeja has to be your incumbent number 6 or number 7 for that matter. He has to be your spin bowling all-rounder. I don't see, much of a role for Kuldeep Yadav. Personally, I want Kuldeep Yadav to play all 5 test matches irrespective of the conditions. But going by, what this management thinks, I don't think, there's going to be much role for Kuldeep Yadav. And with that being said, I think Jadeja would be your only spin bowling all-rounder or the only spin option. This is done. Frickin' Awesome is saying that India need to score 300 plus to put up a good fight against England. They know how to score runs at home. That's the thing with England. But yeah, it's once again, a lot condition specific. Anything else, Shivam?
We've got plenty more, yeah.
Yeah. Naman Khandpal has a comment that batting wise, it's a huge test. India don't have a settled top order, at least not number 3. Bowling wise, KD should play if it's Kuldeep Yadav should play if it's warm and dry dry summer, because what matters is how much you score during the 3rd session. Do you think that Kuldeep Yadav would be more of an unknown commodity for this England batting, and that's why India should play him?
I doubt now. I don't think.
Most of the batters, see the likes of Dugout, Crawley, they have faced Kuldeep Yadav in the Indian conditions, but most of them don't really play in the IPL, so they don't know what it really feels to face Kuldeep Yadav.
I don't quite see him being that mystery factor or the unknown factor or that intimidating factor. However, with Kuldeep, the thing is he's a very smart bowler. He knows how to mix it up very well, and that's where I think he can take oppositions by surprise.
Yeah. Mr. Shekhar GTN has a comment that Captain Gill must recreate mini version of BGT 2021. That's what he did. Couple of 90s that he had.
His Brisbane score remains his highest away score, I believe.
Yeah. Aravind Atreya has a comment for you, Shashwat, that this series you should back KL Rahul so that he will be the player of the series, and if he doesn't, then you can troll him. Deal?
No, I'm anyways backing the whole Indian team. It's not about trolling anyone or anything like that.
Okay, Priyanshu is saying that England have announced their 11. We'll get to it very shortly. We'll see, what's their 11 that they have had. Anything else?
2 days prior to the game.
Yeah, we've usually seen
they
squads,
usually do it.
But on the eve is usually the trend. We'll quickly just see what is it that England have said.
Oh,
yes, the England 11 is out. In fact, let's quickly give you that bit of news as well. Thank you so much for who was it that Priyanshu, thank you so much for highlighting that in the comments for us. It gives us an opportunity to tell everyone else joining us right now what that England 11 looks like. So without wasting time, let's quickly give you the England 11. Zach Crawley, Dugout right at the top at 3. Ollie Pope, we were just having a discussion whether he gets into the side or not. So he is going to be batting at number 3. Then you've got Joe Root, Harry Brook, Ben Stokes, Jamie Smith, Chris Wokes, as you would expect, Bryden Cars, Josh Tongue and Shoaib Bashir.
Pretty much an 11 on the expected lines. The only change I think that probably was a point of discussion for England, maybe to
Overton.
have
Overton
and maybe Jacob Bethel ahead of Ollie Pope, but that's where I think Pope has gotten the nod.
That's right. Interesting, but don't expect anything from the Indian team. It's only going to happen.
You'll get to know at the toss only, or maybe you never know. India could announce their 12th tomorrow. It has happened before.
Don't see that happening.
Yeah.
We can get back to the comments now, Shivam, maybe. Yeah.
Joshua is saying this has to be the worst England attack that he has ever seen. No Broad, no Anderson, no Wood, no Archer, no Atkinson. Yeah, this is clearly short on experience, but whether it's worst or not really sure. That does remain to be seen here.
Ashish is asking if India are better prepared than England right now. From preparation point of view, I'm not too sure. Because not too long back did we see both set of players involved in IPL and other
England
engagements.
players in that sense won there.
So I doubt. I don't know. Yeah, you saw some of the others play in county, but again as a unit, none of the sides have really played Test cricket in a while.
True. I think that's about it. Anything else?
That should be it. We shall meet tomorrow. Tomorrow it's going to be an interesting exercise. As you know, here at Sports Day, we like predicting the 11. We come up with our 11. What is it that we feel should be the right 11 for the Indian team? As always, there's going to be some agreements, some disagreements. And join us tomorrow where we put together the India 11. The England 11 is already out. With India, that is not going to be the case. So it gives us an opportunity to go ahead and make predictions. Because India, as has been the case, will announce their 11 only at the toss. So join us tomorrow as we make the 11. And always look forward to your thoughts. Some of them are enlightening, as was the case right now, just a short while back. So we enjoy your company just as much, and for now we'll take your leave. Plenty of more stuff coming your way, and you know what you need to do. You need to hit the bell so that you get informed every time we have a new offering for you here at Sports Day. Thank you guys for your company and have a very good day.